Hope you've enjoyed the Hall of Fame special, the first class, 25 nominees officially named. And this final NASCAR Sprint Cup practice scheduled to begin at 6:35 after an hour-and-a-half delay. It is underway. Steve Burns, Larry McReynolds, and Jeff Hammond with you. And boys, it's underway in a big way.
Well, I think the big thing these guys are trying to evaluate now, I'm sure there were a lot of changes that went on in the garage area, but how much more grip the racetrack has gained. I'm sure the track temperatures probably went down 20, 30 degrees from what it was this afternoon. And obviously when it goes down, these cars will drive better. They'll handle better. They don't quit bouncing around as bad, but they will gain grip.
I've seen some cars jumping up and down right there. I'm surprised the drivers haven't come back to pit road. But Larry, you're right. The track temperature down probably around 100 degrees or less, where it was almost 140 earlier this afternoon. So you've got to believe that these cars are going to drive like Cadillacs, or at least feel like they got the grip of a Cadillac compared to what it did earlier. We see the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., down on the bottom, being followed by teammate Mark Martin. And you've got to believe, Steve Burns, this is a sight we may see a lot of come Saturday.
Now, I want you to watch that front splitter, Steve, on the 88 car, the part right at the bottom. See how it's against the track? This will just give you a great indication of how many dips and bumps are in this racetrack. The goal would be to have that, especially here in the corners, the goal would be to have that splitter sealed against the asphalt all the way around the racetrack, but you can't hardly do it here because of how rough this track is.
And I think you also noticed, you see the sparks fly out of the 26 car. That's who he is following. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is behind Jamie McMurray. I saw sparks out beneath his car because, hey, it's starting to get a little bit late at night, and those kind of things are kind of rear its ugly head. Plus, Steve, the speeds will probably come up during this practice session. Track's got more grip. Air temperature's a little bit cooler. Everything makes for a faster Daytona.
Could be a great weekend for Junior Nation. Our trackside buddy, Elliott Sadler, told us he talked to Dale Jr. after the race in New Hampshire, said Dale Jr. was smiling and happy for the first time in a long time.
Steve, he should have been. Yeah, I know the box score that I call it shows he finished 13th. You go, well, what kind of day was that? But they ran good. They ran good at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the race. They were one of the cars that had to come to pit road under green before the rains came to put fuel in, but they were up there running in the top 5 a big portion of the day, so they have to feel good. And let's face it, we're at a restrictor plate racetrack, and we know how much he loves that type of racing.
Lindsey, what's going on with the 5 car of Mark Martin, Dale Jr.'s teammate? Having technical difficulties with Lindsey's mic. We'll be back down there momentarily.
You know, we talked to Mark during that first practice session, and he did not run a lot of laps. This is a brand new race car for Mark that he's got here, and we know that a lot of guys were trying to work through some things with brand new race cars, but like he said, I don't know if I'm happy with my car, but I'm not sure anybody was happy with their car, completely happy in that first practice session.
There were some really ugly and very loose race cars during that first practice session. Again, we talked about a new right side tire, hot track conditions, a lot of variables that made it pretty much, you know, I wouldn't consider a bad practice session, but one that you really had to kind of stay on your toes. And going back to Mark Martin, remember, he had an oil lineup on this new car that looked, or sounded like to me like the car was bottoming out, and they drug a hole in it, and he spent basically the remainder of that whole practice session in the garage making repairs. And at least right now, early part of this practice, after running about 6 laps, looks like everything's all green as Mark makes a move to the inside once again to get back behind his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr.
In first practice, it started at 4 Eastern here in Daytona. We saw packs of 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars, but you see a lot more cars running side by side and nose to tail.
At 3 wide, look here, all of a sudden we've got guys that are going to start pushing the envelope just a little bit. You see Kurt Busch back there in that 2 car being followed by his teammate Sam Hornish Jr., and they're going to probably try to push their way up through here. Look at Joey Logano. He's trying to slide it middle, or he can't hold his car down, one of the two. But there'll be a lot of this going on during this practice, trying to find out, where can I take my car? What will it stand? Is this good or is this bad? Who can I dance with? It's time, as we like to say, Larry, now it's time to find out who your dance partners are going to be tomorrow, come Saturday night.
Yeah, these crew chiefs standing on top of these haulers in the garage area, they're not real excited about what they're seeing right here, but they know this is what these cars and these drivers, this is the positions they'll be in tomorrow night, and the only way you're going to find out how your car's driving, if you put it in this situation tonight, you've got to get enough laps on the tires, you've got to burn fuel off, you've got to go through a certain number of laps to find out what you've got.
And Larry, this right here, you know yourself as a crew chief, is one of those kind of times I kind of hold my breath. You've got Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, and A.J. Allman. They're trying to blend into this group. They're not running at speed yet, and a lot of these guys' closing rates sometimes can get you in trouble. You wind up 3 wide, and you think, well, I'll duck to the inside. And all of a sudden, this cat on the inside, well, he's running 30-mile-an-hour slower than you are.
And you know, our voice goes up an octave when we see them 3 wide. As you see, the racetrack is plenty wide enough for 3 cars. It's wide enough for 4 cars. But the way these cars are bouncing around and they're sitting out there averaging over 190 miles an hour, all it takes is one car to bounce the wrong way, and next thing you know, you've wiped out a dozen cars.
What you talking about, McReynolds? What you talking about? Our voice is getting high.
That sounds like some drivers I work with.
Sounded like Darrell Waltrip to me. Oh my gosh, am I talking like Darrell Waltrip again?
Hey, stay with us. Hope you're having a great 4th of July weekend. More final practice after this. This week, Speed S2 heart-pounding at Knights of Wreck. First, catch an all-new episode tonight at 10 Eastern. Then the action continues with a Wrecked Marathon tomorrow night beginning at 7:30 Eastern. Get hooked on Wreck, Life in the Crash Lane, exclusively on Speed. And I will resist the temptation to make any bad puns, but we're holding our breath right now.
We've got about 26 or 27 race cars out there in a pack right now, and this is about as good as it's going to get in practice right here.
Matt, what's going on with Jeff Gordon?
Well, Steve, when you fast forward 48 hours, this is the time of night that we'll be racing when we run the Coke 0400. And Steve Letarte, the crew chief on Jeff Gordon's car, they were one of the teams that experienced tire issues in that first practice session. And being the fact that they only have 4 sets of tires until the race, one of those you'll qualify on, they didn't want to take an opportunity and use up a set, waiting till this section of the night to really see exactly what they have with their race car. And Jeff Gordon was running up on the high line. He got his spotter, Shannon, to work him back down to the inside. He is P13 on the board, but really, times here, Larry Mack and Jeff and Steve, you know, it's not really about what it says in the stopwatch. It's how well your car stocks up, how well you're able to maneuver around through the traffic and get your car in the right position so when we get that last lap or 2 to go, you can make a run for the win.
Well, he's run 11 laps in this practice session, and he ran 15 laps in that earlier practice. We see his teammate Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car out there right now. I was trying to see, Jimmy has actually just went out there because he's only completed 2 laps so far.
Yeah, he's 28th right now on the board as far as lap times is concerned. But the thing is, Larry, you know yourself, again, watching that board, which we say we can't do or need to be careful. Jimmy, a little bit careful right there, trying to fit in between the 6 and the 42. This is practice. But you got to get a good run. You got to get somebody to make that really fast lap. So that's really not a great indicator. But I think for Jeff Gordon, those 11 laps that he's got to finish up running will give them a great indicator, because they had tire trouble, Steve, about 15 laps in that first practice. So they'll at least have some idea whether or not the adjustments they made during this period since this afternoon's practice, if it fixed their problem or not.
We've talked about how these cars actually look like they're bouncing. They're up and down. Larry, you talked about it a moment ago. You can really see it going through the corners there.
And you know, you have a very small box of adjustments that you can make on this race car. We talked about that earlier. That the rear springs and the rear shocks are pretty much dictated by NASCAR to keep everybody on equal ground as far as the height of the rear wing off the ground. But really all you have to work with, and that's what teams were really working hard with in that first practice session, was front springs, front shocks, and the front sway bar. And it's a package that you have to work together, the springs, the shocks, and the sway bar working together.
Again, right now we're riding along with Denny Hamlin down the back straightaway. And again, from this camera angle here, you can kind of see the cars in front of how they're kind of bouncing around. His car's bouncing around. This racetrack it may appear to be smooth, but it's so rough. It's like running down a back dirt road back in North Carolina.
Well, it's funny you make that reference, Jeff. You know, this racetrack is only about 1/10 of a mile shorter than Talladega, but one driver referenced the difference between Talladega being like a perfectly smooth 8-lane wide interstate, easy to drive. Car drives good. Everybody's car drives good. You come here, it's like driving down a very curvy dirt road through the woods, and you're always having to work the wheel, and you never know which bump you're going to hit around the next corner.
We talk about it every time we come to Daytona, handling. You got to get that car to turn, to drive, and you guys made the point in earlier practice. It's even tougher here in the summer when it's had time to sit in this Florida sun.
It's literally, Steve, I mean, it's hard to describe what we fight from crew chief standpoints of what gets these cars comfortable to a driver. And to see the look on their faces when they come in from a practice session, it takes their breath away. You're out there 3 wide, running around, the car is bouncing, it's dipping, it's diving, you don't know whether it's going to jump to the right, jump to the left, or just jump straight up in the air. It is really, you've got your handful, and you earn your money at a place like Daytona, in particularly during this period of the year.
Matt was talking about Jeff Gordon's spotter, Shannon McGlamory, even during this practice session, and those spotters are right above us. And it's about a half a mile over there that back straightaway, but that spotter, he's just as important during this practice session as he is at race tomorrow, keeping you out of trouble, making you aware of the cars that are around you, pulling up to you, beside you, above you, below you. Pretty critical for the spotter even in this practice session.
Not to mention, sometimes he just needs to calm the driver down when he starts seeing him making some move like, hey, remember this is practice. Remember this is practice.
On board with Denny Hamlin, one of the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. Gibbs cars have won 3 of the last 4 July Daytona races.